All right, hello everyone. This is Dean. I'm going to do Con Survival. I actually want to thank ComiGram for giving me the opportunity to host this panel, and also I'm going to also thank Cosplay as well. I also put in a live fundraiser for direct relief for the COVID-19 relief, and if you want the link is actually in my bio, in my Instagram bio, and you'll see where it says donate for COVID-19 relief. So the link is there. So let's get started. All right, so we're gonna do con survival. So we're gonna talk about what to do with cons. All right, so before the con, during the con, after the con, and it doesn't matter whether it is an actual traditional con when you're actually going physically to a venue, when you're doing in-person contact, or when you're doing when you're doing an online or virtual con. So we're going to talk about before the con, so how to allocate time and money. This is more towards the for actual cons, but also this can be applied to virtual cons in case if you want to buy something. So there are some vendors who'll go to different websites, like Etsy, for example. Well, they're gonna sell their merch. We're gonna talk about during the con, so also managing time and money. We're gonna talk about etiquette and networking. And also, we're going to talk about after the con, so fighting the con blues and con crud, and that can happen, and whichever con it is, whether it's an actual or a virtual one. So, and also, we're going to how to prepare for scheduling a con. So, when you're looking for a con, these are the things you have to look for. So, you want to look for size. Are you used to big or small, or you want to do with location. Do you want to go really far or do you want to stay local? That depends on if you have how much time you have left or how much money you have left. And also, you want to look at reviews and feedback. You want to make sure you want to have the best time of your life. Remember, going to a con, me, you gotta have fun. All right. So, do you have the time and money, as I asked before? So, registering early can help you save money, but things can happen. So, a lot of the cons uh, tend to be non-refundable. Okay, but this is as of the last time I did the con survival panel. So there might be some schedule conflicts. You gotta know the schedule ahead of time. So do you have classes? Are you gonna have work? You have to plan all these things out. So in order to make room time wise, in order to attend the con, and of course the budgeting as well with the money. Uh, Things have changed. I've actually done this panel back in DerpyCon 2019, and in around October. I forgot which date it was, but it was after near Comic Con. I remember, and the thing was, I never even heard of an online or a virtual con. I knew these things existed, but I never attended one because it's I don't know about you. I'm one of those people where I like to be up close in front. Virtual just doesn't do much for me. But in this time of coronavirus, with this pandemic going on, there's not much of a choice. So online virtual cons is going to be a thing now, and it's a good alternative. I don't think it replaces the actual cons. So as I said, so coronavirus, COVID-19 canceled many of the 2020 events. And there are events such as Thai Geekdom Con. It's still a go for some reason. I don't know why, but we'll see how it goes. There's other cons that are coming later on, maybe in the summertime and fall of this year. So they're not canceled yet, but again, we don't know. We don't even know what happens the next day. So for those that are canceled, most of the cons roll over the admission to 2021 without extra charges. If you do want refunds, I'd strongly advise you to go to their websites. As of which, for refunds, for in terms of other things such as itinerary And for the hotels and transportation, okay, again, just like with the cons, go to the websites. But just bear in mind that a lot of times transportation and hotels, many may not be refundable. And if you do try to get refunds, you're basically competing with other people, because since all these events are getting canceled, the phone lines with different airline carriers, bus carriers, transportation carriers, etc., they're have they're just overwhelmed. So you either wait or be prepared for to wait, basically. So as I said, as a result, online slash virtual cons are made via social media and streaming services. So I've seen it with Facebook. I don't see too much with Twitter. Twitter's more like an info kind of thing. I use Instagram, but mainly as a live stream. That's a way for me to let everyone know that I'm going live. People are using Discord, Zoom, and there is also Google Hangouts, all those different things. Even Twitch, but Twitch is mainly for streaming. Even YouTube Live, for example. Even the canceled cons. One in particular is I think Anime Midwest, and Awesome Con, and then there is WonderCon, and also KogaraCon. KogaraCon's a small con in New Jersey. They converted it to online cons. So in my opinion, I feel it's better than nothing, especially for the vendors, because these vendors need these cons, actual or online, in order to make a business. So budgeting and managing money. So when we're going for a con that's not free, okay, you're gonna set aside money. So well, what I tell people to do is you gotta have some kind of a pattern in order to build that war chest, so to speak. And you gotta, if you make a certain amount of money every week, put a certain portion to that account, or to just save a little portion towards savings for the con. Okay, there is a website called Twine. You can actually automatically set the amount of money to put into a specific account just for conventions. You can do it on a weekly or a monthly basis. In this case, you can. So again, you can do it either on an app, or you can do it through just just jotting it down on paper. But also be proactive, simply because that anything can happen, like in this case with the coronavirus. So you gotta overestimate how much you're going to spend as well, because you want to be prepared. You don't want to go broke. You also want to estimate how much you may have to spend, and so it's all about searching. And what I do is every single time, every single day, I keep track of each and every cent or dollar that I lose or I gain. So, for example, if I find a penny on the floor, I add plus 0.01. If I lose a penny, oops, I dropped it, oopsies, minus 0.01. So avoid impulse slash reactionary spending. I'm actually going to go over that in detail a little bit later. So before you do spend anything, or you have to think. You have to weigh in benefits, risks, all those kinds of things. Now, there are some cons that are free. Okay, I've actually been to some of them. Some of the cons tend to be in public libraries. I've seen that. I live in New York City, so I've seen that with nearby New Jersey. I've seen it in Long Island, for example. A lot of the cons, the online virtual cons, are free. Thank goodness. Okay, so but I'll go more into detail with the online virtual cons. All right, but a majority of them you actually have to buy your badges. So this is an example. When in doubt, write it out. This is my schedule. This is for Anime Next of 2019, and I use a And at a glance, 24-hour daily appointment book. Why is that? Because I need every single hour of the day. See, all 24 hours. If there are hours I haven't used that's already passed, I'll just write other notes. So I would put like My Hero Academia photo shoots. I put all these panels here. I also write how much I spend, how much I got. Now this is I gained $120 and change simply because I actually had travel credits, which is great. I'm not going to go too much into detail, but it depends on what credit card you have. So this is a budget worksheet example from Anime Expo. So that could be used as an example. Unfortunately, Anime Expo got canceled. So now you check how much people you have in the group, how much you calculate how much you have to spend for badges. There are events tickets as well, separately ticket events, and you see that with maid cafes and concerts, how much you have to spend for cosplay, your transportation expenses, restaurants for food, and then you'll see here for other stuff that you can add to it. So it depends on you. You can work your budget however way it works. So finding a place to stay, assuming you're going to an actual con, okay? If you're on an online or virtual con, you can just stay home. So book early, all right? That's how you save money. Now, that being said, though, if it depends on the schedule. If you're not able to go, or don't, okay? So you have to plan this out, okay? It's okay to wait. Some people wait because we don't know what's going to happen. Now with coronavirus happening, I'm not going to be booking too early. If you book 1 year ahead, then you're giving yourself like a higher risk as opposed to booking closer. Even though the risk is less, the problem is you'd be spending more money. So you got to weigh you have to analyze all this. So you can also save money with hotel blocks. So some cons will provide hotel blocks. If you add more people in, even better. Hopefully once this pandemic is over, shop around for hotels or Airbnb. So that's how you look for deals. You keep looking. Know your check-in and check-out times. Why is that? Because if you check out too late, you're going to be spending for another night. If you check in too early, the room may not be ready. Now, some hotels will have coat checks for free. But you have to look into that. Consider quality and distance from the cons. It's important. You can't just focus on distance. All right. Now, for me, I'm very flexible. As long as it's clean, I'll take it. All right. So as long as it's really close to it. So, and also you can bring it, you can also ask people as well. But I don't want to have more than 5 people. That's just my recommendation. And because it's going to affect with the personal space and so on. We don't, and we want everyone to be safe. And plus, we don't want things to be cramped. People get too uncomfortable with it. And as I said, find out if they have free bag coat check. There will be some places where it's not free, especially in the venue. Okay, now, of course, some venues will be free and all that, but you have to ask. So when it comes to online cons, it's flexible. You can do it wherever you want as long as you have good Wi-Fi or good cell service and you have a device to use in order to enjoy that experience. If one or more people will room with you, okay, you need to know who you're inviting. You have to find out, know who you're inviting. All right, you can ask them, but I would ask people who I know pretty well. Either way, if it's people who you know or don't know, always do a background check and always determine who the leader, quote unquote, is. In this case, the person who books the room and pays and is the one paying for it is the main one who's going to be the leader. Also have a group chat. You got communication's really important. It's optional, but get their cell numbers as well, just in case. Also, evenly split the costs of the room. There are different ways to do it. People do it through Zelle. Now, I paid straight in cash up front once I entered the room. Now, I only did that twice, so I only stayed with. I only got invited to a room twice. So, so I paid with cash just in case. So but you gotta have a plan where you're able to surely get the money because you're the one who paid for it, but everyone has to pay their fair share. So, would you want your hotel room like this? No, you don't want it messy. That's why you have to do your background checks. That's why you have to get to know the people, get to know your people. You got to know them really well. And what you also have to do is you gotta set the ground rules too. So you have to emphasize the rules for everyone to follow. If you don't make that, people will not take you seriously. You have to really state the rules very clearly and emphasize it that if you don't follow it, see ya, bye bye. Okay, so as I said, please keep it clean, neat, don't make any mess. Clean up after yourselves. No eating on the bed. Okay? Those are just some logical stuff that I hope most people would know. The other thing I want to bring up is that when I room with someone and if I'm not the leader, what I do is I always put all my stuff in one corner, just limited to one corner. So, for example, you'll see here, like if it's a hotel, I'll just put everything in one corner right here and nowhere else, just to be safe. Because if I put it all over the place, then I'm gonna be spending the whole day looking for other items that are scattered all over the place. We don't want that. So keep the noise level down. You got to be courteous to your own roommates, and you got to be courteous of the people in the rooms next door and above you and below you. So be mindful of other guests in nearby rooms. Also, please keep alcohol to a minimum. Don't overdose. I will go in detail with alcohol later on. If you're younger than 21, don't drink. If there is even one person who's younger than 21, alcohol is off limits. So again, to be consistent, you always be courteous, respectful, and polite with each other. So transportation planning. Again, if you're going into a regular con, you got to budget extra time and you got to know your schedules as well. And you got to have also different ways to get there just in case, God forbid, something happens. Google Maps is a great tool, but it's not the only tool. So you have to use other websites as well to make sure that you're prepared. God forbid something happens. You got to monitor also the statuses of the trips. So if it does get canceled, at least you're able to catch it right away and you can make your changes there. Now, it doesn't happen often, but tell that to the other otakus. So, have paper and electronic tickets. Okay, God forbid your iPhone or your smartphone dies, you have a paper ticket, but make sure you keep the paper ticket, the hard copy, in a safe place so you don't lose it. Okay, once booked, as I said, monitor frequently because anything is subject to change, especially if you take the MTA. All right, so flying, that's the fastest, yes, most expensive. It's important to shop around for different options and details. Kayak.com shows the itinerary for several other websites. Skyscanner makes you modify the trips a little bit more. So the issue with flying is that even though you have to book early and fly in the busiest times to save money, but it's not always an option. Especially for me, I still work Monday through Friday as a pharmacist, so I have to book on the days I'm available. So that's gonna cost me. It's gonna be a lot of money. So I have to book early. Again, the only issue with booking early is that it's a big enough window to, to have like a cancellation occur, such as of course the coronavirus. So bring all important documents. So if you're going to go out of the country, for example, you need a passport. Always bring a government photo ID. All right. Also research on what to carry or check. So props, for example, if you really want to be extreme with the cosplay, there will be times where you actually have the props have to be sent separately because you can't fit in a plane or whatnot. Or it could be probably dangerous. Okay, so now, and also medical devices, liquids, you got to ask about it as well. I believe there's a 4 ounce rule for liquids, so if it's more than that, they're not going to let you in unless if you throw that thing out. Also, you arrive at the gate 2 to 3 hours before the plane leaves. I got that from my parents. So 2 hours if mainly if you're going domestic, and 3 hours if you're going international. Long distance trains, buses, so they're cheaper, but it tends to take more time. It's a little bit less risky, but also be mindful that just like with the flights, trains and bus tickets may not be refundable as well. So you got to be careful with that. So again, just like with planes, you got to prepare your round trip itineraries. You don't have to arrive 2 to 3 hours early, thank God. If you want to, I mean, go for it, but around 30 to 60 minutes should be fine. Just like with planes, bring all your important documents, especially your paper tickets. Okay? Same thing with your iPhone. Always have the tickets as well. Always have everything paper and electronic just to be safe. Here's another tip. If the distance is about less than 300 miles, I don't really recommend flying, but it's up to you. Why is that? Because if you fly for about 300 miles, usually it's about what, 1 to 2 hours, and okay, assuming everything goes well. But then again, you have to arrive there 2 hours earlier. So a train or a bus could just travel through that in around the same amount of time. So there's really not that much difference. Of course, if you want to go from New York to California, a bus or a train isn't going to cut it. So, it'll take several days, but it'll take a few hours if you fly from New York to California. That's just for one example. Okay, so if you want to go local, there's public transit. Okay, easier, convenient, and cheaper. You still have to study the maps and schedules, especially if it's a place that you're not familiar with. Okay, you have to know how to pay the fare. It's different for so many. So in New York City, or in DC in this case, you use New York we use Metro cards. DC they use a Smart Trip. There'll be some commuter railroads where you can actually do e-tickets as well. Okay, that's up to you. You can, as an alternative, you can get it through a vendor, and then you get a paper ticket. Now, just like with Amtrak, you can do paper tickets as well, in addition to the phone, as I said. But again, you got to know how to pay the fare, and you have to have different ways or itineraries to get around, just in case if there are any issues with the train lines. So driving, there's more freedom, but there is more responsibility. I suggest people to bring their cars to the car shop just in case to get their car checked. Okay, and also of course have a full tank of gas while you're at it. Important tip: if you are driving, take a break about every 3 hours or 100 miles. You can take breaks maybe a little bit more frequently. That's so you can stretch your legs so you don't get stiff and all that. Carpooling. So people who will go with you, you need to pay the driver. Okay, just like with hotel rooming. So you gotta split the costs evenly. And so you gotta pay them money for gas, wear and tear, tolls, tips, etc. You can tip if you want. Also, driver chooses the music. Okay, not you guys. The driver needs to stay awake. Driver doesn't stay awake, you get in a crash, you're screwed. Simple as that. So cosplay planning. So also, you can do. It's not limited to just regular cons. Also virtual or online cons. I don't advise con crunching, but we all do it. I'm guilty of it. All right. Research the dress code and weapons policy. That's in this case for going to regular cons. So you got to know what you're doing before you start planning this cosplay, and plan out how you're going to put it together. So the earlier you start, the better. So if you really want to be consistent, you set goals and objectives and that you're able to stick to. And when you're doing cosplay, start with what you have. That'll help you save money and save all that effort in before you buy all the other stuff. Okay, and you gather the materials and tools needed. And before you leave, before you the con, always cost test. Okay, the earlier you cost test, the better. Why? Because you're able to fix it, and hopefully you're not rushing through it. All right, the week before the con. So, especially if you're going to an actual one, prepare the travel checklist. That's going to be in the next slide. So, get your clothes and costumes ready, all right, for packing. And if you're going to an actual con, or get it ready, just have it ready on a hanger near your house when you're getting ready for a virtual con. If available, there is an app. So if you're going to an actual con, there is a guidebook app, for example. Now, there is another one called Cosmunity. That one, I think, changed into some Fitguru or something. So that will tell you all the events available, the events or the panels there. So plan ahead with that. Download the con venue maps. Now, the cons have a hard copy paper for it as well. But if you don't want to wait, you can download it on your iPhone once it's available on the website. Also, get your travel itinerary ready. Also, and monitor the itinerary as well. God forbid there's a cancellation. Also, check your emails. So, Greyhound for me, Greyhound sent me an email in regards for a change in the itinerary. So watch out for that. Also, determine when to wake up and when to leave home. So the earlier the better. You got to pack yourself a budget, and you have to budget yourself enough time to get there, so you don't miss your bus or your plane or your train or whatnot. So this is a checklist. So this is I'm not going to go too much into detail. The main thing really is to, of course, bring your deodorant. Always bring fluids. Bring enough clothes. You gotta have your soap as well. I bring my own soap. I would always have your phone. Always have a few battery packs, portable battery chargers. Now, I don't know how you're gonna fit all of this in your bag, but those important things. I always bring my planner, my pen. I always have a pencil. Bring medications as well, if you need them. Always carry cash. I always say between $20 and $100 of it. You want to go a little bit on the lower end, okay? So always carry your wallet. Of course, you got to have the credit card, your debit card, whichever. Okay, you gotta be prepared. So, other things include like those little cosplay kits, the emergency kits. Those are the ones with the thimbles and the sewing and the thread and all that. You gotta have enough You gotta have enough clothes. You gotta have the cosplays that you plan for. Again, you make sure you have your own checklist for that. Water bottle. Gotta have a toothbrush and toothpaste. Okay, you gotta brush your teeth. Gotta take a shower too. Okay, so bring your soap and shampoo. I said deodorant. I'm going to say it a few times again. First aid kit, just in case. Bring your medications if you take medications regularly. Phone and chargers. Battery packs, emergency contact info, God forbid something happens. I tend to bring food as well, because food tends to be expensive. Of course, bring your planner like I do. Pen, pencil, paper. Documents, I've said many times. Actual tickets, so both electronic and paper. Okay, travel hotel info also have to be paper And in electronics, same thing with all the other things. Also have photo ID because they will ask. So you got to be prepared. In your cosplay repair kit, you don't have to have all of it. It really depends on the on when you're going on your cosplay, and it's all it depends on how much you're going to use as well. So usually there you can use a glue gun, scissors, safety pins, glues, tapes, Velcro. Needles and threads are super important as well. A sewing kit, of course. If you want to bring a machine, that'll be great. It's just that it's a little bit bulky. So spare parts in case if something falls off, hair ties, or those little bobby pins to keep extra bobby pins just in case you lose a few, just so to keep things together. Stain remover, wrinkle releaser, hairspray, gel, wig caps, safe as I said, safety hairpins, wig caps, nets, brushes, hooks, eyes, sewing straps, paint. Now I dress up as Jalal from Fairy Tale, so I have to have enough of it. Even though you don't use it too much, a wig brush just in case, rubber bands also just in case. Wig caps, oh, those have been hell for me. And a team that has mastered each of these things. That's right. So, medical first aid kit. So now, oh, very important. Bring bandages just in case if you hit something. You hopefully no accidents would occur, but you got to prepare for it. If you do forget these things, most of the time there's always the pharmacies nearby to buy these things, or convenience stores. Okay, you can bring dressings, gauze pads, cloth tapes, alcohol wipes, non-latex gloves if you're allergic to latex. Thermometer. Now you're gonna need a thermometer because you got to make sure you're okay. Because if you're sick, you're not going. You want to avoid contact. If you're sick, you don't want to be in big crowds where you get other people sick. So also need tweezers. There's also this first aid CPR guides, also Q-tips as well. So that's just some of the examples. Hygiene is very important, and it's more important now than ever. So please shower, bathe daily before you go out, and preferably when you come back to the hotel room or when you come back home. And you gotta brush your teeth twice a day before you leave, and that's basically after you take or I usually do it before I take a shower. So the showering and brushing go together, or avoid cons this year. No, I mean the actual ones. If you're in a virtual con, you can still be stinky, or you may not have pants. Who knows? But I would still feel uncomfortable. So I would still practice that hygiene even when I'm in virtual cons, just so if I do go to actual cons, I have this habit of a protocol in my head. So if you do cough or sneeze, you cover your mouth with an elbow. Or if you watched one of my coronavirus panels, what you do is you cover with a tissue, throw it in the garbage, then you wash your hands for 20 seconds. Okay, yeah, wash your hands also. But wash 20 seconds and then just rub. Okay? Make sure your clothes are clean, and also bring hand sanitizer. Just letting you know that hand sanitizers do not replace hand washing. So if you're eating, for example, with your hands and your hands are messy, or if you're, hand sanitizers aren't always going to get it clean, because when you're washing your hands, you go in the sink, you don't just clean your hands, you're going to get rid of all that oily, yucky, gooey stuff there. Okay, hand sanitizers, I don't know if you're able to get rid of it. Okay, unless if, of course, you go to the bathroom. Not risking anything, and online cons are boring. I mean, different strokes for different folks. I mean, everyone's different. So, I sort of agree, but that actually, you know what? It depends. Okay, I've been to online cons and I had a great time. I know for ComiGram, this is the second one. I know I had a great time, and I want to take Hypergate Cosplay for this, and all the staff who involved with it. But but everyone's different. Okay, I hope eventually, once we find the vaccine, of course, I hope that we're able to get back to seeing each other in person. I mean, you can't replace that. But you know what? Online virtual cons are better than nothing. Now you have arrived at the con. In this case, the actual one. Okay, now on an actual one, you gotta arrive super early. I will get to the city of the con around 7, 8 in the morning, or even earlier. Once you're there, even if the doors are closed, you still have to be there. You gotta get your badges first, okay? Even with your luggages. Okay, also stay hydrated. Makes me wonder what Anime NYC will be like this year. Well, if they don't cancel, I hope they don't cancel. I agree that everyone is different, but I do miss interacting with friends. You can still interact with friends uh, through Discord, through Zoom, through Facebook. I know a lot of the online cons can be either on Facebook or Discord. I get there a day before. Yes, you should on actual cons. And most cons, it says here, most cons do provide water stations, but anime and I've seen some water stations, but it's built in Javits Center. So, in a way, I think they should add more given the amount of people they have, since it is a top 10 con in terms of attendance. Now, if it does still go on, I feel 95% of chance that the attendance will go down. So, no, I mean in person. Example, CPAC. Yeah, CPAC doesn't have a lot of that either. But that's beside the point. So, again, stay hydrated. Find a free bag code check. I've said this before. That's why I bring water or snacks for myself. Food at the Javits ridiculously priced. It's priced wherever you go. Even if it's not New York City or not New Jersey, not Connecticut, if it's not a city, it's still expensive. Okay, but not everyone has the convenience. But if you're able to carry food with you safely, that'll be great. Also, even when when you arrive at the con, always reevaluate, because things can change, crowds can change. Reevaluate where you want to go on the schedule. Now, prioritize if there are overlaps in your schedule. So you gotta be careful. There's a thing where you can actually leave the panel or event a little bit early, but again, it's up to you. You don't want to overdo it. So high priority are the ones with events with potentially long lines. Anything with My Hero Academia related stuff. Anyone with famous celebrities. So like Samantha Bee, for example, there was a panel for that near Comic Con last year, and I was turned down. I was turned down because they couldn't fit more people in there. Oh yeah, I just say the Javits because that's where I go for most of the conventions. That's all right. That's not a problem. Okay, so do not overschedule. Always leave gaps for breathing room, or else you're gonna pass out. We don't want that. I don't want you going to a hospital. So also, when I referring to that Samantha B panel that I wasn't able to get into, always have a backup on alternative plans just in case to fill that time before you get back to your regularly scheduled itinerary. So con breakdown. So this is what you'll see in an actual con most of the time. So you'll get a dealer's room. So there'll be different names for it. Anime NYC calls it an exhibit hall. Some places, I know there's a pharmacy conference that got canceled this year that I wanted to go. They call it trade floor. Now, pharmacy conference, that's different. I'm just saying that there are events where they're not comic cons or not anime cons, and they can have similar traits of what anime or comic cons have. So autographs, of course, artist alley, and those three things are what I call the splurge alert. So that's when your wallet takes a beating, and I'll explain how we can reduce the beating. So, of course, you know about the panels, the photo shoots and the meetups, concerts and masquerades, dances, the gaming, the contests, and there's so much other stuff as well. Usually, the bigger cons will have more of those traits here, more of those amenities rather. Smaller cons will still have dealers room and artist alley, but they would be maybe just the merch by itself. It'll be just one room. They can have panels and all that. So, it doesn't matter big or small. They have most, if not all, of the amenities you see here. All right. You'll also see that with online virtual cons as well, which we'll get to. Online virtual cons. So, new slide. So, as I said, back in October 2019, that's when I first did my con survival panel. And I've never seen any other panel related to this. I've seen it for budgeting for a cosplay, or budgeting for a con, talking about mental health and taking care of yourself, but nothing that goes really in depth and covers so many things. This one I added a few slides earlier today and yesterday. So these online virtual cons, if in case you don't know, so it's like going to a convention without leaving your home or without traveling a lot. It's easy to attend or organize. The issue is it's harder to spread the word. You got to know people who know it. You have to start. You have to put a lot of effort into spreading the word. You got to let each and every person spread the word. So the more they spread the word, the more people will be informed about it. The great thing about it is that it takes less time, less effort, less resources, less money to organize or to attend it. It's also flexible. It doesn't have to be Saturday, Sunday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It could be as long as you want to, or you can hold multiple ones. This is ComiGram's second convention session in just the past couple of months. Admission so far, for the most part, is free. I hope it stays that way. That would be great because a lot of people are out of work. Of course, very obvious, you need a compatible device. You need a device that works. My original iPad over here, that was from, I think, 2014, maybe even earlier than that. It's not compatible with a lot of the apps now for some reason. So you need something that's up to date and that works. You need a Wi-Fi that works too. So examples, for example, ComiGram, that's the con I'm in right now. There's also Cancellation Con that happened earlier. Okay, you can go to Discord or Instagram for that. PucciCon, that's my very first online or virtual con that I went to. So they had their con earlier in March, before the coronavirus started shutting down everything in the New York City tri-state area. And then once things got shut down, they started doing PucciCon started doing the online virtual cons. I think they've done twice so far. They did one a few weeks afterwards, and another one called Cancel CoronaCon. It's organized by my friend Jennifer. So she's at Just Jen's Cosplays. She's also at Perez Play Events. So you can follow her. There's also Virtual Comic Con as well. It's via Facebook, Instagram, or Twitch as well. So a friend of mine told me that. So again, you got to keep yourself informed. You got to keep looking, and you got to spend the time and the effort to look for online cons. There are a lot out there, and there's so many choices to choose from. So in my opinion, one of my friends brought it up. He said that he's not big into online cons, and I can see it from the comments here. Again, everyone's different. Online virtual cons can be a niche by itself, but it's also an alternative. But in my opinion, I don't think it replaces traditional cons, the actual cons where you actually go and you get to see people up close and impersonal as well. But again, going with what's going on with the coronavirus, and we want to stop the spread. Virtual online cons is the best way to go. Again, it's better than nothing. There's gonna be online shopping as well, so that's basically your artist alley and dealer's room. Autographs, I don't see a lot of that. So if it were there, they would be delivered to you. Panels and meetups are via streaming services. So in this case, I'm doing it through Instagram Live. I'm doing it live via Instagram. You can do it through YouTube, Facebook Live. I've done a few on Facebook Live with PucciCon as well. You can do it on Twitch as well. There is also photo shoots via uploads. You can do concerts and masquerades. You can do it live stream as well. Again, with the photo shoots, you can upload them. There's dances and raves. I've seen that. I forgot which online con it is, but they would put it on Discord. You can do it as a live stream. You can do contests via streaming, or even file uploading. It's actually comma, or file uploading. And it can be cosplays or anime music videos. Also, the thing I forgot to put in there, there's also gaming as well. One example I did was, well, I didn't do it. I joined. PucciCon had a Jackbox game thing, live streaming. So I played in. The only issue that there is a lag period. So I participated in the Jackbox games. Agreed. They are better than nothing. And when stuff with COVID is truly over, going back to conventions and being able to see and hang out with friends will have so much more meaning. I definitely agree. So here's online/virtual cons. It's not really a new thing, believe it or not. I know it seems like a new thing, but even before online virtual cons, all the way back in the 90s, people would hold these kinds of televised seminars. Could be live or not. Uh, it, there's still webinars at the time. That's basically the start. That would be the panels. But of course, you would not be calling it an online virtual con, because an online virtual con would have most, if not all, of the amenities of an actual con. So it started in 1998, ComicCon.com. It still exists. It's not really a con in a strict sense, but it is a virtual platform where creators and fans alike meet, and they also view materials. So again, it's not a con, but it's not a con in a strict sense, but it has some social aspects to it. It's also a really nice site as well. So to get yourself updated with news and updates about cons, comics, and anything anime related, anything nerd related stuff. In 2014, this one is a question mark. So I was looking through, and I found this thing called Ascendant Con. The website's over here at CGC Comics. It's in cgccomics.com in the forum. And this guy said, oh, you know what? This will be the first ever. And he had basically a somewhat clear plan. Now, it is on the website, though, right over here. You can also Google Ascendant Con, CGC Comics. You're not going to see a lot of it. Okay, so what I did was I just typed in first online con. And this one, according to to what was on the forum, it was indie only. It would have the podcast, interviews, and streaming, uploading comics. They'll even have an artist alley. The question is, did it really take place? I don't really see the links to that showed the interviews, the podcasts, and all these other things. So we don't know if it's really held. So I don't see any links. Now, if anyone who organized Ascendant Con, if you got evidence, please DM me. Thank you. So, now 2015, there is a site called Sideshow.com. So it's a website for Sideshow collectibles. It debuted its online Comic Con. It's still going on. And before 2020, it was held at the San Diego Comic Con, and it has its own booth, though content was only limited to its booth. Now, there is a date, just in case, July 1st to 21st of this year, 2020. There are not a lot of details, but I would I would recommend visiting this website, sideshow.com/events/comic-con. And then there's another con that we don't know very much, 2018. It's HomeCon via Tigerdile. The website's tigerdile.com/HomeCon, but I don't know too much about it. There is another con called CouchCon by Vivid Publishing. It still exists. They're going to hold another one for this year. And also, it started out in March 2020, where the amount of online and virtual cons multiplied. It's very hard to find because you really have to put enough time and effort to look for it. You really have to go deep when it comes to when you're searching on Google. Or and again, a lot of effort is required to spread the word. A lot of these cons, these online virtual cons, are hidden because it's not easy to spread the word. You gotta, if you made the online virtual con, if you know people who are super duper popular, who have a huge following, then you got some kind of a chance. But a lot of these online slash virtual cons, they're pretty small. I think it has its own positives as well, since that it helps make it more intimate, and you get to know each other and not deal with too much crowding and all that. So it's a very important to increase your connections. I'll go over that in detail, and it's also important to be regularly and actively informed about what's going on, whether there's going to be a new online or virtual con, or if there is a change with the existing con in the future. Those kinds of things. Also, be informed that there are regular cons that will be converting to online or virtual. All right, so doesn't matter if you're on a regular con or an online or virtual con. Follow the 521 or the 531 rule. Okay, now it's minimum 5 hours of sleep a day. Okay, now it's not, for me, it's not enough. I try to do 8, but if you really wanna if you want more content, if you really want to push it, then don't go less than 5 hours. You got to get your rest. Try to do 2 to 3 meals a day. I tell people to take a multivitamin because during con weekend, a lot of people don't eat really well. Okay, so so at least that'll help you replenish with the vitamins that you're missing. All right, and but please do not starve yourself, and please do not use energy drinks as a way to get through the weekend. That's not gonna work. You're gonna crash and burn. We don't want that. Okay, and you gotta have at least one shower or bath a day. So that means before you leave the con. Okay, but if you do get sweaty right away, you gotta take a shower pretty often. Okay, so I don't want to smell your body odor. Seriously. So managing time, money, energy, and anxiety. Again, as I said earlier, the goal of going into a con, any con whatsoever, have fun and be positive, but also keep your schedule realistic, balanced, and flexible as well. So be prepared for changes and calculate cancellations. Okay, you gotta take a break in between just so you don't get overwhelmed. So you gotta add some breathing room. I also put notification alarms as well. So again, that's for in general. I would do it 15 to 30 minutes before a panel or an event starts in the con. So you won't be late for it. So you give yourself extra time so you don't rush, you don't run, and then you don't get into an accident or you don't ruin your cosplays. For example, wear comfortable shoes. Okay, I know you want to wear the exact same shoes as the character you're cosplaying, but your health matters, and I don't know if people would be focusing on their shoes unless if it's part of the character design that everyone notices. Also, as I said, keep track of your money. Also, look for quiet or safe spaces. God forbid that you do need a break. So plan these out and take a step back and breathe if you feel overwhelmed, if you feel there's a lot going on. Again, your goal is to have fun, not to have your goal is not to have a miserable time. That's why cons are there. You gotta so you can have fun. So I'm gonna talk about energy use. So there is a thing called the spoon theory by Christine Miserandino. So this is how it goes. Spoons become your currency for energy. So if you rest or you're sleeping, you add spoons. if you if you do an action such as taking a shower or walking or biking, or if you're doing chores, you're going to lose spoons. So energy is used like money, so please use it wisely. The type of actions determines how many spoons you need to use. So the amount of effort needed in order to do an action requires obviously more spoons, but everyone is different. Okay, now you might be asking, well, how do you know how much spoons you have? It depends. A good number to start is 20, and you'll go from there. If you if you run out of 20 spoons, but you still have enough energy, then you know your 20 spoons is not your capacity. Then you got to increase your capacity. If you feel tired already and you still have spoons left, then you might have to shrink that capacity, for example. But it depends. And plus, the spoon theory, it's optional. You can, it's just as a guide, so to help you manage energy, so you you don't get overwhelmed, you don't get burned out. So Christine Miserandino has lupus, so she was the one who brought up the spoon theory. So it's used for those with chronic illnesses or disabilities where they're unable, they have limited energy, they're unable to do the actions. They're limited to doing certain actions. So again, unit of energy is measured by spoons. Always keep it simple. Always round by to the nearest whole spoon. Okay, so for example, I take a shower, it costs me 1 spoon. I go walking, maybe it costs me 1 spoon, maybe it costs you 2 spoons. Everyone's different. The issue is when you run out of spoons early, you're going to be borrowing spoons from tomorrow. And the problem is when tomorrow comes, you're going to be left with limited amount of spoons. And the only way to replenish those spoons is, as I said before, gotta rest, you gotta sleep. So you won't be doing much. But everyone has different levels of stamina. As I said, the starting number is 20, but also same activity doesn't equal same cost of spoons for two different people. So maybe for me, if I wanted to do spoon theory, I probably would start at 100 spoons because I could do so many things, and probably every action's probably 1 spoon each. Who knows? That's just an example. All right, so we're gonna talk about money. So we're gonna talk about merch as well. You're in Arts Alley or dealer's room, or you're online with an online virtual con. You want to buy merch. Ask yourself the 6 questions. This is from a money disorders video from CNBC. It says why money disorders are maybe ruining your budget. First, why am I here? Well, I want to buy this, and because it looks cool, and I'm a fan of it. I love it. How do I feel? Well, I would feel great, I think. Do I need this? What if I wait? How do I pay for it? And where will I put it? And let's do our commercial break.